I'm Matt,
And I'm Rissa.
and we're here to coach you on how to have an exceptional life.
And today we're talking about fact versus belief.
It's a fact that I'm amazing.
So, Matt, what is the difference between fact versus belief?
Well, they're completely different, right? Everything is either a fact or a belief. There is no neither, and there is no both. Most of us think we're pretty good with fact versus belief, right? If I was to ask you to take a 10-question quiz, you would feel that you would probably do pretty well on it. Yes,
Probably.
I would hope so. The problem is human beings are just good enough at telling the difference between fact and belief to be very dangerous with it. If we were worse, it would be better off. Because there are statements like, I'm good at math,
Mhm.
or I'm bad at math, or voting and elections are important, or voting and elections are not important. The world is a difficult place. The world is a wonderful place, right? Most people would have one of those statements as true and another one as false. In other words, one would be a fact. But all of those are interpretations of the world.
Mhm.
We're really bad at distinguishing between reality, fact, and our interpretation of reality, which is a belief.
Mhm.
So let's start with what is a fact, right?
Okay.
A fact exists in the world. It is real. This shirt is a fact.
Mm.
It exists.
Yeah.
However, if I tell people this is my lucky shirt, that's a belief, right? The takeaway here is to realize that beliefs don't arise independently. They don't just exist in and of themselves. We have beliefs about facts, but we don't react to them like they're beliefs. We think they're the truth.
Yeah.
The key difference between a fact and a belief is that facts never cause upset. Our belief about facts has 100% of the emotional impact on us during the day. But we don't react to it like that. We think reality is what dictates our happiness or frustration or anger or whatever.
So if I came up to you and I said, I've been laid off from my job, you probably, being laid off from a job is a fact, but you would probably be trying to figure out from my expression or how I was speaking about it, whether you should be like, I'm so sorry, or congratulations, you didn't want to work there anyways.
Exactly. It's so good, right? Because I have had people in both of those situations. And it's one of those, I'm so happy for you. I'm so sad for you, right?
Yeah.
The fact is real. You don't work there no more, right? But that reality is not what causes the emotional reaction. It's the interpretation of it, right?
Yeah.
If I tell you that my grandmother just passed away, then you say,
I'm sorry for your loss.
of course, right? And most people equate that to, no, I'm sad because grandmother died, right? But it can't be. If grandmother dying was equaled sadness, right? You'd have been sad the moment it happened, not the moment you heard about it, right? And then if it's like, oh, well, no, I'm sorry, because you're upset, then we equate it to that people are always upset when a family member passes away. But there are some people who would be very happy if certain family members passed away.
Yeah.
And then the immediate thing after that is, well, those are bad people, right? No, those are just people, right? It's belief after belief after belief after belief after belief. And there's nothing wrong with beliefs. I want people to have all kinds of beliefs. The catch here is most of us don't create our own beliefs.
Right.
For most of us, beliefs just happen.
Mhm.
The world is a way, and then I immediately have an interpretation about it that has nothing to do with me. It's not conscious. It requires no effort or work on my part.
It's your machinery.
It's pure machinery, right? And it's based on what's happened to me in the past, or what to my friends, or my culture, or my location, or whatever. And our brain is constantly interpreting, adding beliefs to everything that's going on around us. I have an interpretation about me. I have an interpretation about you. I have an interpretation about the room. I have an interpretation about everything that exists.
Mhm.
And it's being processed at a constant rate.
And the problem with letting the machinery take charge of the interpretation is machinery is generally going to skew towards negative interpretations of things because negative interpretations are going to keep us alive and safe more likely than positive. Like you said in the machinery episode, that rustling in the grass, if we assume that's danger, that's a saber-toothed tiger, and we don't go check it out, we're safe. Instead of assuming it's like, a rabbit and we can eat it and have a great meal.
Exactly. The world selects for safety over boldness, right? But as you pointed out, that's very relevant 10,000 years ago. It's not quite as relevant today. But because we're not paying attention to the way that our brain interprets things, to the beliefs that are being generated automatically, we treat them as fact.
Yeah.
And when we treat something that is an interpretation as if it were reality, the downside is we don't try and interrogate it. We don't try and alter it, right? If it is just a fact that I am bad at sports, then I will not do anything or participate in anything sporting related because it's just how I am.
You're bad at sports.
Just that's how it is, right? Now, maybe with a lot of work and effort and time, I could change that. But I mean, who has that much time and effort and et cetera, right? Instead of just dealing with the reality, when I was 12, I dropped the ball and everybody laughed at me, right? Instead of just dealing with, well, this happened to me at a certain point and that's reality, or the last time I tried to play football, I couldn't throw it or whatever. I'm actually really good at sports. These are hard analogies for me to come up with, right? But instead of just dealing with reality, what happened, happened, what didn't happen, and I get to choose what happens next, we just get stuck with, well, this is how it is. This is how I am.
Yeah.
This is how you are. This is how life is. And then we equate that to how it will always be. Because again, we don't try and alter reality. Or if we are going to alter reality, it's not altering it in the moment. It is, I will do this work and effort to someday make it be different. But the beauty of getting that it's all interpretation, it's all belief, is that you can change a belief like that.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you don't know the answer. Like if someone's honking and you're not sure if it's about you, maybe your brain immediately goes to negative. They're honking because they don't like I'm doing something and you can't figure out what it is. Maybe instead they're honking to say hi or they like your car or something. There's so many ways to interpret that one thing, or it might not even be you at all. And your brain could go straight to the negative, but then when you realize that, you can choose to go with the positive. They are honking because they like my car.
I love it. It's perfect. And I love what you pointed out, right? When you recognize it, then you can. The first thing you have to be able to do is catch that this is interpretation, right? Once you notice its interpretation, you can choose an interpretation.
Yeah.
Until you notice it, you are it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I actually love to use that analogy. In college, I had a roommate and we were on the highway and I came up behind them and I was laying on the horn to get their attention and they just stayed right focused and, wouldn't move and everything to the point that, we went our separate ways. And then when we got home, I was like, anything weird happened to you on the highway? He was like, yeah, man, somebody was just like laying on their horn behind me. I couldn't believe it. It was the most frustrating thing. And I was like, that was me. Turn around. He's like, no, I wasn't going to engage with some psychopath on the highway, right? Same thing happened. Reality was, but we had two very different interpretations of it based on how we saw what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
If we were to break coaching down to one thing, which I never would, watch all the videos, right? But it is the idea of I can in any moment choose a new interpretation if I don't like the interpretation that I currently have.
Yeah.
If I walk in the door and I see my partner and my heart bursts with happiness and I have the thought, oh, I'm so loved and welcomed, great. That's not reality. None of that is a fact. But I love that belief. Keep it.
Yeah.
Right? If I walk in the door and I see my partner and they look over and they have a weird look on their face, and my brain immediately goes, oh, this is it. This is the day. This is the day that it all ends. What did I do? What did they do? Somebody's in trouble. Mm-hmm. Maybe they just have gas, right? Like, reality is they had a look on their face. My interpretation of why or what it means or anything else is just all made up. And if I don't like the interpretation, stop the action, notice where the interpretation is, create a new one, and go on.
Yeah. I have a good friend who did a talk at a tech conference, and what he said is, what happened never changes. Like, that's the fact. But what it means changes a lot. And I feel like that fits perfectly with this interpretation. Whatever happened in your past truly happened. We talked about this in the past, like creating without the past and the past not existing. Like, that thing happened, that's a fact. But the way that we look at it, the way that we feel about it and move forward with that idea is all interpretation, and we can change that.
Exactly. It's not easy, but it is very simple. You just ask yourself two questions at any given time where you're feeling upset. Is this a fact or is this belief? Mm-hmm. The answer is it's a belief. It's clearly interpretation. Otherwise, it wouldn't be impacting you in any way, shape, or form, right? And then the follow-up question is, great. How do I create a new interpretation in this moment? How can I see this in a different way? You don't alter the facts. You don't pretend that the thing that's happening isn't happening, right? But you can view it through a new lens, one that you choose.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what coaching's all about.
Yeah, it's good.
No?
It's a great way to bring the power back to you and take it away from an external thing.
Exactly. Locus of control. So let's give them some homework.
Let's do it.
Your homework this week is to notice the moments where you are upset or angry or frustrated, whatever your negative emotion is. Stop the action and then get to what's actually happening here. What are the facts? And then notice, what is your interpretation? What can you do then to alter the interpretation? How can you see these facts in a different light? Don't worry if it seems hard. It takes a lot of practice and we never actually get there. If you want to find out more about us, find us at www.anexceptionallife.com/newsletter. Sign up there and you'll be the first to find out about the 24 hours of coaching and other neat things that we do. As always, your time and attention are very valuable and you've given them generously to us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.